Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining Espresso Tutorials for today's virtual book club meeting. My name is Alice Adams and I'll be moderating our meeting today. Today we're discussing SAP OpenUI5 for mobile BI and analytics with SAP mentor Raquel Seville. Raquel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi Alice, thank you so much for having me.
I understand that you've brought some information to share with us today. Could you walk us through those slides?
Okay, sure, no problem. All right, so I just wanted to go over SAP OpenUI5 and mobile BI. So pretty much trying to give an overview of the two things being married together. So usually when we think of web apps, we're thinking of probably creating an app to do something specific or solve a particular problem space, maybe not always thinking of business intelligence, right? So because of the heavy use of our mobile phones, and even in the workplace, we do use our mobile phones and mobile devices a lot. What happens is that OpenUI5, as I mentioned before, can help to bridge that gap, because our experience with the apps that we use for work is sometimes a totally different thing from, using Uber or any of these other apps. It's a totally different experience. So it can help to deliver robust apps that are responsive to any device, any browser, so you don't have to worry about any of those issues when you're using OpenUI5. And this is just some background, and this is covered in the book as well. So the book starts off by pretty much setting up the problem space that currently exists, right? That by 2020, our mobile devices is projected to represent 2 times the world's population, right? So that would pretty much mean that the statistics would say that on average, each person would have at least 2 mobile devices, right? That may not necessarily be the case, but that is just what it would pretty much represent. Of course, some persons would have more than 2 devices. So given that, and the fact that mobile devices, whether it is tablets, whether it is our iPhones or Samsung Galaxy, whatever it may be, the fact is that the trend is not slowing down, right? And we definitely need to find a way to ensure that our experience in our enterprise applications is similar to what we use on a day-to-day basis, right? So with OpenUI5, you can build enterprise-ready apps, and it pretty much is as simple as downloading the software development kit from the OpenUI5 website, or you can access it via content delivery network, right? So it really just starts up that simple, because OpenUI5 is freeware, it's open source. Similarly, if you're an existing SAP customer, you could use UI5, which comes with your licensed software. Other thing that I wanted to touch on is design thinking and the use cases that were used throughout the book. Design thinking comes about in chapter 3 of the book, and we start to define design thinking and start to pretty much encourage the use of design thinking strategies and the design thinking process in developing web applications. So the book has this definition from Tim Brown, the CEO of IDEO, and he defines it as a discipline that uses the designer's sensibility and methods to match people's needs with what is technologically feasible and what is a viable business strategy. And what a viable business strategy can convert into customer value and market opportunity. So the focus for design thinking is to think about your audience, right? You have to have empathy, and you have to imagine, the need. You have to think about the needs of your user, and with that, you need some sort of interaction with the user, some immersion into what it is that they're struggling with, what it is that, they're having an issue with, what could be improved, what can be better. And at the same time, providing solutions that don't necessarily require you to write any code or write any applications. It can literally just be prototypes, and the user will be able to give you feedback and critique the prototypes or the solutions that you're giving them, And then at the end of it, what you'll have is something that is more suitable and aligned to what the user needs or what the user wants. And you would not have wasted developing something that the user would say doesn't fit what they need. And of course, you would not have wasted money in spending on something, right? So design thinking is definitely very important, and the use cases that are introduced in the book start off with that approach, so that you can get an appreciation of just putting yourself in your audience's shoes and then try to build from that. So the use cases in the book, they are built on research and conversations with persons in different industries. So there's an airline use case, there's an oil and gas, banking, finance, telecommunications, and retail. And these use cases take the format of giving you the problem or setting up the problem space and then going through the different stages of the design thinking process all the way to creating a prototype that we can then use to build our web app, right? So we use two of the use cases, two of the industries, right? Two of the five, airline and telecommunications. And those two were used to build the web apps, right? So the use cases were the foundations for designing the apps, and there were two different styles and layouts that were chosen when building the use cases. So for the airline app, it used the standard tiles, which is built into OpenUI5, right? That is a part of the SAP.m library. And the telecommunications app, that was built mainly using custom controls. And the custom controls are pretty much, as the name suggests, controls that exist in OpenUI5 that can be customized to suit a particular purpose. And for this purpose, it was using d3.js to create charts, right? To create bar charts, create a ring chart, and to create a line graph. Right, so this is the end result. After going through all the different step-by-step process in the book, this is pretty much where you would end up. Right, so for the airline app, you'd be using the SAP.m standard tile functionality. That's a part of OpenUI5, and that pretty much helps you to create a web app that looks just like this. So it is overlaid on an iPad, so you can see what it would look like on that particular device. And this design is responsive. It's responsive, so if you view it on an iPhone, it would respond to that kind of screen. If you use it on a Samsung, whatever the device is, whatever the screen size, whatever the browser you're accessing it from, it would be customized and responsive to that design, right? And then the final one, in terms of the telecommunications example, this is the end result. So the airline app, what you have is tiles that gives you that layout, just to show different KPIs or different specific metrics that we would have in our analytics and business intelligence reports. And for the custom controls in OpenUI5, we do more development with d3.js to give you the charts. There are also two KPIs that are there as well, which are custom built. And then you have your bar chart, your line graph, and a ring chart that is integrated into OpenUI5. So OpenUI5, it's also, you can also build and add on to the platform, right? So here you have a layout, and this is the layout from a desktop or a laptop. So this is what the view would look like. And of course, if you're doing it on a mobile device, then it would look different and have different responsiveness to that device. And and this is pretty much the end result of building the two web apps. So the book takes you through the step-by-step process of building these apps so that you can create something that looks like this. And of course, this is something that you can add on to or take away or modify. And the code is also available on my GitHub as well for the book. So you can go through the process of building the web apps. And, at the end of it, you have these two apps that you can use for other use cases as well, in terms of the layout and the design, or you could use a different layout. So the book also has some, at the end of it, I think it's the last chapter, it has different layout options that you could use as well, based on the design space that you're working with. But the real takeaway with this is that, you can go through the process with SAP OpenUI5 for mobile BI and analytics. There may be use cases that exist in your company, maybe just in your day-to-day interactions, that you can't seem to fit into your enterprise applications. Maybe it's just something that you need to do quickly. Maybe it's something that you need to be more, have it done in a more agile way. You don't want to actually wait on an app to be created, or you don't want to actually go back to the vendor for them to do some custom development that's going to cost a lot and it's going to take a lot of time. So there may be something that you want to do, and you want to have something that can be deployed anywhere. Persons can just access a link or get whatever it is, and they don't have to worry that, okay, I need to get a particular type of software downloaded, or it won't work on this phone or that phone. It works on any device, and this is something that you could use in your organization to fit into the use cases where you just can't find an easy solution for something. So that is the real value of OpenUI5, and the book just goes through the step-by-step process of realizing that value for different use cases.
Great, thank you so much. We have a couple of follow-up questions we'd like to go through. You mentioned the use cases in the examples. Can you tell us more about the reason behind those and why you chose the ones that you did?
Okay, sure, no problem. So the use cases, they bring real-world examples from different industries, so it makes it more relatable, right? So instead of just handpicking one or two industries, I did 5 industries, which makes it more relatable based on, person's background or experience. And the 2 use cases that were focused on for this book, in terms of the airline and the telecommunications, the focus of those 2 use cases was really to show the power and the flexibility of OpenUI5. So as you can see with the end result for the 2 apps that were created, for the airline app, the end result is an app that you can have with tiles, right, that display small KPIs. Maybe it will suit organizations where they just have like 10 KPIs that they just want to zoom in on, and they want something that can be developed in a week or less, whatever that is. So in that case, it shows, I guess, somewhat robustness and applicability of OpenUI5 in that case. And for the telecommunications, it's giving you another side where you can actually extend OpenUI5, right, and create your own custom controls using the open source D3.js library. So both use cases, they bring value, and they also pretty much show you from end to end, the basics of what you need to cover to build any OpenUI5 app, just with 2 different end results at the end of the day, right? And they're pretty simple, they're easy to follow, the use cases are not complex, and it makes it easy for you to go through the process to build these apps. And you are employing design thinking from start all the way to deploying these apps. So pretty much the reason behind using these is just to show the power of OpenUI5. You can accomplish so much, right, by not having to do a major investment in a software, in a tool.
You just mentioned design thinking. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it helps developers build better apps?
For developers, at the end of the day, it will save time, it will save money, right? If you're going through a process of prototyping and critiquing the work, and at the end of the day, you're not sitting down just writing code, right? You're going through this process to get feedback, to continuously improve, and at the end of it, what you have is something that when it is built, it would have satisfied the needs or the wants of the user, and it would have actually solved the problem, as opposed to just building something and then fixing the issues as they appear, or fixing the bugs, or fixing the little nuances with the user interface or the user experience. Not that there won't be any issues using design thinking, but it will be far less. So you will definitely save a lot of money, a lot of resources, and it is beneficial in the end because the user will get something that is more aligned to what they would want, and it's just a more cost-effective and better approach to development.
Okay, thanks for that background. Raquel, before we do our final wrap-up, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
Sure. So in terms of final thoughts, just want to say for anyone who may have any gaps in terms of, is this just going to be focused on business intelligence and analytics? Can you get anything else from it? I do think that there's also value in this book. Even if you're not doing BI or analytics, there's still value in terms of just learning about OpenUI5 and understanding the platform and understanding what SAP has to offer. And even if you're an existing customer, as I mentioned before, and you have SAP software, you can just explore UI5 and just use it to try and see if you can fit some of those use cases that you cannot get done with your enterprise application, and then just explore and see what value you can get from it. Even if you're not doing it from a mobile BI or analytics perspective, I think there's still value in OpenUI5 and UI5. Explore the platform, learn the basics, understand what is required, and just try it out.
Great. Raquel, thank you so much for sharing and presenting today about OpenUI5 for mobile BI and analytics. We will plan to make a recording of the book club available on the Espresso Tutorials blog over the next couple of weeks. And if you also note the slide that's currently showing, we've set up a special discount for $5 off the print version, and we encourage you to take advantage of that. Thank you all so much.